What's wrong with them? Have you ever asked yourself that about someone else? I have struggled to understand why people are the way they are, and sometimes it's led to some tension in my relationships. For example, when someone seems pushy, it irritates me. When someone seems to never be on time, I get frustrated with them. When someone talks a lot, sometimes I want to run the other direction. But I have to admit, I've done some things that irritated people too, like taking a long time to finish a project, or being a little stubborn, or a lot stubborn. Well, many of these tendencies are related to our personalities. So how can our personalities improve our relationships? Today we're going to talk about 3 keys to better relationships by looking at how God has wired us. So stick around. Hi, I'm Dan Houck, co-author of the book Intentional Relationships for Singles. We are all drawn to different people for different reasons. Now, I've heard some people say, I like them because they're so fun and I just need to laugh. Or I love hanging around them because they're so organized and I'm an absolute disaster when it comes to organization. In fact, I bought a book on organization, but I lost it. Or I love how steady they are. They never get too high or too low, and they're calm in a crisis. We tend to be drawn to friendships with others that are different than we are, and there's a great reason for that. We admire traits in others that we lack ourselves. And as much as we love ourselves, no one wants a carbon copy of themselves, unless, of course, you're an identical twin. But those traits in our friends that we love have another side to them, and sometimes those same people drive us crazy with their faults. There's something really important to know about personalities. For every strength, there's almost always an opposite weakness. For instance, when someone is bold and determined, they might bowl right over someone because, that's the nature of their personality. Because in order to move something to the goal line, you often have to go through obstacles. If someone is highly empathetic, they might be overly sensitive. You don't usually get a highly empathetic person with super thick skin. If someone is really organized, they may have a weakness of being maybe a little judgmental because that's the way they see the world. The right way to do things in the right order. And when you don't do things the way they would do them, they think you're wrong. Sadly, many relationships struggle because we begin to focus more on those negatives than the positives that drew us to them in the first place. So what can we do to make sure we don't expect more of somebody than their personality is capable of achieving? Here are 3 quick keys. First, acknowledge that God made people with a distinct personality and gifts on purpose and for a purpose. Romans 12:4-6 says this, "For as in one body we have many members, and the members do not all have the same function. So we, though many, are one body in Christ and individually members of one another. Having gifts that differ according to the grace given us, let us use them." The best teams are made up of people with differing strengths and weaknesses. Just like a toolbox with various tools for the job, our personalities and gifts work together to make us far more effective and far more powerful. It also puts us in a place of humility, knowing we need each other. What's true of the church is also true of friendships. They are best when we can use our various talents for each other's benefit. My cousin just visited us for the weekend. We were having family and friends over for dinner, and she saw that the table we were going to eat at needed something. So she saw some beautiful calla lilies in our backyard. She picked them with some other greenery and made a beautiful arrangement and a centerpiece for our table. I was so grateful for her creativity, something I never would have thought of. Before I get to the second key, would you mind liking this video and subscribing to our channel? That way you'll be notified when we come out with some other great content. The second key is value and encourage their strengths. Be sure to take notice of the strengths of others. When you notice and tell someone why you're grateful for them, it encourages them to continue in their strengths, and it strengthens your relationship with them. The 5-to-1 rule in relationships is 5 positive comments for every possible negative comment. Moms and dads, Remember that when it comes to your kids. They really need to hear and see the value that God has put into their personalities. The third key is give grace or even help them in their weaknesses. It's easy to see the flaws of others because, well, it's just out there to see. Remember that you want the same grace for your weaknesses. So be the first one to extend it. If someone seems overly sensitive, let them work through their emotions. Don't expect them to be tough as nails. If someone's habitually late, kindly put some boundaries in place or let them know you're going to leave at a certain time, or better yet, go to their house a half hour before they have to leave and take them with you. Be creative, but be loving. I hope this helps you in your relationships today. And remember, the goal is to have healthy, intentional relationships. If you haven't purchased our book yet, I have put the link below in the description. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.